Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. I think that's working. So we've got somebody from Somalia. Wow, that's amazing. Welcome, Ali. That's awesome. Narendra from India, Yasamin from Iran, and there are a few other people as well. That's amazing. Welcome, Ali. That's okay. I'm so disorganized. I think I can begin now, though. Let me share my screen. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Cool. Okay, let's get started. Hopefully it works. Come on. Okay. Yay. Technology is amazing. Okay. What we're going to do today is first, we're going to focus on some words and rules. And then after that, I want to talk to you about your experience using E2 School. So let's do this first. Okay. So hello, everybody. My name is Jay. I'm one of the expert English teachers here at E2 School. I'm glad you are a student of E2 School. That's really cool. One of the courses that we have on E2 School is called Words and Rules, and that's what we're going to look at today, okay? So let's get started and take a look. I just want to talk to you briefly about what Words and Rules means or what it is, okay? So really, when we talk about words and rules, we're talking about grammar, and grammar, of course, is one of the most important things in language. So on the left-hand side here, we have some words like the verb send, for example, or the noun letter, or the article the. And what we can do with these words is apply a rule to the word. So for example, if I take the word send and I add t to the end, I can show the past. So I've taken a word and I've applied a rule, and now I have some grammar and I have a meaning here, a different meaning. Or if I take the noun letter and I put an S on the end to make letters, it means there's more than one. So I've applied a rule to a word to change the meaning. And it's the same thing with these funny words here. These are called articles, like the. If I use one of these, like the, before the noun, I've changed the meaning. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a sentence like I send letter yesterday, which is wrong, and I'm making it correct by applying rules to the words. I sent the letters yesterday is correct. So this is words and rules. So effectively what I'm talking about with words and rules is grammar and vocabulary. And these are the two, well, really there are three key features of language. One is words, of course, you need words. Two, you need the rules so the words make sense. And the third one, which you can do in Speaking Lab, our other course, is pronunciation. But those three things, words, rules, and sounds, are the keys to language, right? But it's complicated, it's difficult. So what we're going to do today is we're going to learn about the Smiths. Hopefully you have seen the Smiths on E2 School in your Words and Rules course. Let me just quickly tell you who these people are, because these are the characters in our story. So here we have Joe and his wife Sylvia. We have Joe's dad, Grandpa George. We have Summer. We have Willie. And we have a cat called Peanut and a dog called Rocky. And in the Words and Rules course, you will learn all about this family and their adventures. Let's start by doing a little listening activity. You're going to hear a conversation between Grandpa George and Willie. I just want you to listen, and then we'll do some activities.
Can you please post a letter for me?
No problem. Where is it?
It's on my desk.
Do you have money for stamps?
Take some money from my wallet.
Okay, that was pretty quick. Let's do a little activity now. What I want you to do is you're going to need a pen and paper because you're going to write down some sentences. This is like the write from dictation task in the PTE test. I'm going to press play. You will hear a single sentence. Please write down the sentence. So listen first and then write the sentence. Okay? In 3, 2, 1.
Can you please post a letter for me?
Okay, and if you want, you can put this your sentence into the chat. Actually, that might be better. Then I can see your sentence. So I think somebody has just done that, which is cool. Ali Adam, well done. You did that. Okay, it's not quite right. Let's have a look at the answer for this first one here. The answer is Grandpa George says, "Can you please post a letter for me? Can you please post a letter for me?" How did you go there? Did you get that right? Let's do another one. This time you're going to hear Willie saying a sentence. Please write the sentence. Actually, there's going to be 2 sentences, 2 words here and 3 words in the next sentence. In 3, 2, 1. No problem. Where is it? Good, Yasamin. Well done. Well done, Narendra. Good, Ali. Cool. All right, let's look at the answer for this one. It was no problem, full stop. Where is it? That was pretty straightforward. Let's do another one. Grandpa George again. There'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 words. In 3, 2, 1.
It's on my desk.
Good, Yasamin. Perfect, Narendra. Well done. Whoops, I forgot to get the timer going. Good, Ali. Did he say on the desk or on my desk? Anyway, that's probably enough time. Let's have a look here. He said, it's on my desk. Now, just something for your interest here. We have it's with an apostrophe. What is this? What is this apostrophe S? This is actually 2 words. What are these 2 words? Do you know? Whoops. But when we're speaking, what we often do is we get rid of that and we just say it's on my desk. Cool, let's do another one. This time Willie will speak and there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words in 3, 2, 1. Do you have money for stamps? Good, Narendra. Try to spell them. Good, Yasmin. That's perfect. Well done. Good, Himabind. Perfect. Well done. Okay, let's see the answer here. So Willie says, do you have money for stamps? Now, something interesting is going on here. We're going to get to some rules in a second. We've got, do you have money for stamps? Now, sometimes what we do before these nouns is we put one of these words here, a or an or the, or in this case, we actually put nothing, no article before the noun. Okay, I'm going to show you these rules in a second, actually. And the last sentence here in 3, 2, 1.
Take some money from my wallet.
Okay, how did you go? Let's have a look here. So Grandpa George said, take some money from my wallet. By the way, I'm just trying to, okay, cool. Okay, good stuff. Let's do a little, just a little bit of reading now, just to warm us up, okay? Let's do a little reading. I'll give you 45 seconds. Just read through this conversation carefully. Because then we'll move in and we'll take a closer look at it. And I want to look at some of the rules and the words here, okay? So you have 45 seconds to read the conversation. Okie dokie, cool. Now that you've read that, I want to talk to you about nouns because they're an extremely important part of speech. Actually, let me go back and talk to you about this. So right now on E2 School, there is the Words and Rules course, and what the Words and Rules course teaches you is all the different parts of the English language. I don't know if you remember, but there are nouns, and there are verbs, and there are adjectives, and there are articles, and there are adverbs, and there are prepositions, and there are pronouns. And what the course teaches you is that there are different types of nouns in English. Okay, so for some reason in English, we have to be conscious of or think about the type of noun, whether it's a concrete noun, a singular noun, a plural noun, an uncountable noun, a countable noun, an abstract noun, all of this sort of stuff. And you can actually learn this in the E2 School course, which is really good. And the reason why that we learn this, why we care if the noun is singular, one, or plural, more than one, is because it changes the rules when we're writing or speaking. Okay, so we're going to look closely at these nouns and we're going to learn what some of the rules are, okay? Let me disappear. Just to refresh your memory though, nouns are a thing, like one thing, things, more than one thing, or stuff that you cannot count. Let me give you an example of a thing. A thing would be something like an envelope, or what have I got here? I've got a screwdriver, I've got a pen, I've got a phone. So a thing is one thing. That's pretty easy, right? That's easy. And then, of course, we have things like envelopes, and we add the S on the end if there is more than one. So the basic rule here is that a thing equals one. Things with an S on the end equals, let's say, more than one plus. Okay, more than one thing. This is just English language. I don't know why. Your language might be the same, it might be different. Then we have this other type of noun, which is stuff. You also might know stuff as uncountable nouns, like water or milk or honey or air, something like this. So anyway, in English, we think about or we distinguish between a single thing, an envelope, more than one thing, envelopes, and stuff that you cannot count. You can't say one water, two waters, for example. So just keep that in mind. It's very weird and abstract and difficult to understand. But let's do a little activity. What I want you to do is to find the nouns in this conversation. Okay, please type them into the chat. What are the nouns? The thing, a thing, the things, or the stuff. You have 45 seconds. See how many nouns you can find. Good, Yasemin, correct. Well done, you've got one. Oh, Shruti's very fast. There you go. Good, good, good. Nice. Okay, you guys are pretty good. I'm happy. That's awesome. Well done. Hello, Mohammed. Nice to see you. Okay, let's have a look. Let's see how many you could find here. Hopefully you found these. So we have, whoops, did I make a mistake here? Sorry, I made a little mistake there. But in the first sentence, Grandpa George says, can you please post? Post is a verb. A letter is a thing, a single one thing, a letter for me. Willie says, no problem. Okay, that's a strange one because it's a thing, but it's a thing you cannot touch or see, right? It's a problem. It's still a thing. It's still a noun. Where is it? Grandpa George says, it's on my desk. That is definitely a thing. Willie says, do you have money? Stuff. Money is stuff because you can't say monies. For stamps, that's things with an S, more than one, stamps. And again, George says, take some money from my wallet. Let's go through. Actually, no, I'm going to get you to do this activity now. Here we go. So we have a letter. Is that a thing? Is it more than one thing? Or is it stuff that you cannot count? When Willie says no problem, is problem a thing, things, more than one, or stuff you cannot count? Let's go through. Just decide if number one is a thing, number two might be things, for example. Please pop that into the chat. I'll give you 1 minute. So Yasmin, with number two, see if you can make problem. Can you say problems? I have two problems. Well, the company has a lot of problems. If you can put an S on the end, it means that it's things. Yes, correct. Well done. Good. Yes, correct. Number four. Well done. Good, Ali. So is Ali for number four, money? Is it a thing? Is it things? Can we say monies? Or is it stuff that you cannot count? We just, yeah, it's a funny system in English. I kind of feel like I should apologize to you because it's so weird and so complex. But I'm sure if I were learning Somali, for example, you would have lots of strange things in your language too. Cool. All right. Well done. It's it's actually not so easy to do this. It's actually quite complicated to look at a noun. Like, I'll give you an example. This is paper, right? And we would consider this to be stuff because we don't usually say papers. Can you hand me the papers? We just say, can you hand me the paper, for example? And we consider this to be just stuff, something that you cannot count because there's too much to count. But it kind of depends on what you're looking at, okay? So the rules kind of bend. They're not quite firm or definite rules. But anyway, let's keep practicing. Let's have a look here. So number one is definitely a thing. It's a single one thing, a letter. That's easy. When Willie says no problem, he's talking about a thing here. It's not a problem, not a problem. Consider that a single thing. When Grandpa George says it's on my desk, that's a thing. That's pretty easy. Number four, money is stuff. In English, we can't say monies. So we have to think of that money as stuff. When Willie says stamps, Willie says money. When Willie says stamps, that's things, more than one. And when Grandpa George says my wallet, he's talking about a thing there. Strange concepts, but let's push on and look at one of the rules here, okay? We're moving out of the words into the rules. Rule number one. So a noun equals one thing. So when Willie says, can I please have a pen? an envelope, and a passport form. He wants one of each. A pen, an envelope, and a passport. Easy, right? A plus noun equals one thing. Let's look at rule 2 here. When Willie says, do you have paper and ink? Okay, again, we look at paper, for example, as something you cannot count because there's too much of it. There's too many pieces, and so we turn it into just paper. But pay careful attention here. Let me go back to rule number 1, sorry. The whole point of this is we're looking at the noun here, but what we're paying attention to is the word that comes before the noun. So an envelope or a passport form. So if we're looking at one thing, we'll use a. And then for rule 2, if we're looking at stuff that you cannot count, like ink, you can't count the ink inside here, for example. And the paper, there's too much of it. Actually, we don't use a, an, or the. We don't use any article here. Okay, so there's just nothing there. It just says, do you have paper and ink? And then finally, for rule 3, when Willie says, I need boxes and postcards, well, he can also use no article as well. And this has more than one, boxes and postcards. I know this is crazy stuff. I'm going to push through the rules. I'm going to take you to the next activity or a little quiz here. Let's do a little quiz, right? What I want you to do is to choose whether we use no article or we use a or an. For example, with number 1, can you please post? Do we use nothing or do we say a letter? With number 2, do we say nothing or a problem? Please go through and decide whether it's X or A. X meaning nothing. Good, Shruti, that's right. Good, well done. I'll give you a little bit more time. I'll give you another 20 seconds or so. Just read carefully. Do we use a or do we use nothing? No article. Good, Ali, that's correct. Number 3 is correct. Well done. Now, remember for number 4 there, we're talking about stuff. Correct, well done. And number 5, we're talking about stamps. More than one. Remember, means one, so, Good, good, good. And last one, number 6. Remember, means one. Tricky, tricky, tricky stuff. Cool, good stuff. All right, let's have a look at the answers here. So number 1 is, can you please post a letter for me? So we need to use a because we're talking about one thing, a letter. Number 2, let me show you here. So here we have a letter, one thing. Cool, easy. Willie says here, not a problem. You can't just say not problem. He's saying not a problem. Again, one thing. So that's cool. We can say a problem. And then here Willie says, where is it? Where's the letter? George says, I forgot. I think it's in a bedroom upstairs. Again, one thing, a thing. Willie says, do you have money? Here we can't say a money. We just say nothing. So do you have money for, and here we can't have a because we have s, right? You can't say a stamps because this means more than one and this means one. It's like maths. You can't do that. So we just got to say, do you have money for stamps? That's correct. And George says, here's $1. In other words, what he's given him is $1. Here's $1, $1. Cool. That's all, actually. That was quite a short words and rules class. This is actually the first ever E2 School live class. So I appreciate you coming along. I hope it was good. What I want to do now, though, that was sort of a bit of an experiment for us because we're trying to work out how we can teach general English online. But what I want to do now, though, is just go to E2 School with you. Just give me a second here. And I want to just talk you through the courses and show you how they work properly. So let me share my screen. Okay, cool. So by now, you should have signed up to E2 School. That's probably how you found this live class, which is really good. So I'm just going to log in. I'm just going to show you, how do I do this? Oops, the wrong one. Okay, let me save my password here. Okie dokie, so I'm just logging into E2 School. Very good, there's 8 people on here. Now what you need to do in order to access what we just did then is the Words and Rules Review course. So this is the grammar and vocabulary course. This is the pronunciation course. And this is the course you should take if you're thinking about taking an IELTS or a PTE course. It's not IELTS preparation or PTE preparation. You do that on E2 Language. But what this course will do will build your vocabulary and your reading skills, for example. Let's click on Words and Rules Review here. And let's have a look. If you want to find out more about what we did in today's class, you click on Things, for example, Nouns, and you can do the exercises about concrete nouns or abstract nouns, etc. So what you do is you open this up. And what I can do is when this loads, again, you'll be looking at the Smith family. You'll be learning grammar by learning about the adventures of the Smiths family. But what you can do as you watch the video and you learn about concrete nouns, for example, you can actually do the activities, which is really cool. And when you get to the end here, make sure you click the next button and it will take you across and you can do some listening activities. And after that, you can do some reading activities, etc. So there's lots and lots to do on E2 School. Cool. All right. What I'll do now is I'll go to questions. If you guys have any questions, please put them into the chat for me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have. Or if you're all good, you can just let me know what you thought of this grammar class. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. Cool. Ali says, thank you for everything. You're welcome, Ali. By the way, just remember that E2 School is free for 2 months, so please make the most of it. Ali says it's great. Excellent. That's good to hear. Shruti, good question. Can we use a paper anytime? Okay, here's an example. Here's an example of, okay, here's how we can use a paper. See this? We would look at this, and just because the paper is all stuck together like this, I would say, can you please hand me the paper? Okay, so I'd think about it as stuff. But if I were to go like this, and I can clearly see that there's a single little piece of paper, I'd say, oh, can I please have a paper or a piece of paper? Usually we say a piece of paper because it's a single thing, right? So the rules depend on what you're looking at. There are rules there, but the rules, as I said, depend on what the thing is that you're looking at. But usually if we want a single piece of paper, we say a piece of paper, not a paper. There is a slight exception with cigarettes. Have you seen people roll their own cigarettes? People can say, can I have a paper? That's the only time I've ever seen a paper be used. Narendra, one question. Why don't we use the in front of stamps? You could actually, Narendra. That's well spotted there. We could say, I need some money for the stamps, for example. But because we're not thinking about any specific stamps, we would just say stamps. But it's totally possible to put the in front of a plural noun like stamps, the stamps. That's fine. That's fine. Jay, what's the difference between E2 language and E2 school? E2 language is for test preparation. So for IELTS, PT, OET, and TOEFL test prep, right? So let's say you're taking an IELTS test in 2 months' time or 3 months' time or next week. That's when you'd use E2 language. But if you're just trying to build up your general English skills, maybe you failed your IELTS test, for example, then you will use E2 school. So E2 school is for beginners right through to advanced, and E2 language is for test preparation. Good question though. But one of the reasons why we built E2 school was because we saw lots and lots of people failing their English tests. Okay, so the failure rate in the OET, for example, is more than 50%. So half of the people who take the OET English test don't get the scores they need. And the reason is maybe they don't understand the test very well, but the majority of the time is because their grammar, their vocabulary, or their pronunciation is not good enough. Okay, so E2 school is there so we can build up your skills. Jay, the word infection is countable or not? Infections, he has multiple infections. You can count that, that's fine. Do we need an article with it? He has an infection. Yes, you do. You can say an infection. He has an ear infection, for example. Inflammation is not countable. You can't say inflammations. I'm suspecting that you're a nurse or a doctor. You cannot say inflammations. It's not countable. And so therefore you can't say an inflammation. You would just say inflammation with no article, actually, with the X that we saw before. He has inflammation. And you might even say more specifically, he has inflammation of his, I don't know, he has inflammation of his finger or something like that. So interestingly, actually, there are certain uses of articles like a and the, for example, with medical English. So for example, if we're using a body part, we would use the, like I got hit in the eye, for example. Anyway, there's a bit of complexity there. Shruti, sorry, I'm going to answer this one. This is a great question. Is it a general rule to use an article with all countable nouns only? Well, no. What beginner and intermediate language users do is they put the before countable nouns, like the stamps. Can I have some money for the stamps? And in fact, lots of times we just don't need the article at all. And we can just say, give me some money for stamps, please. Give me some money for stamps. And that is actually, both could be considered correct, but one would be more precise than the other. So there's no general rule that you use an article with countable nouns. It depends on context. Anyway, what we're going to do is in Words and Rules, we're going to build a new course very soon, Words and Rules level 1 to 6. And we're going to look at all of the different uses of articles. So by the end of it, you'll be 100% clear on how you use it, okay? Yasmin, I'm going to take OET, and I think E2 School will help me a lot. Great. Well done. Yes, I think it's a good idea. If you're a bit worried about your English test, you feel like your grammar is not good enough or not perfect, it needs to be pretty close to perfect to get a good score in these tests, then E2 School is a great place for you to build up your skills. Cool. Thank you very much. I'm going to leave it there. It was nice to see you, and it was quite fun teaching the first E2 School live class. So thanks for coming along. Be sure to tell all your friends about E2 School. Remember, it's free for 2 months, but not even your friends. Tell your family members, your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, your brothers, your sisters. It's free for 2 months. Pop it on your Facebook page. Cool. I'll see you soon. Thanks very much.